Good evening, everyone. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay, and we're coming through nice and clear. Oh look, the game's gone down. Let's pick it up a bit. Testing 1, 2. Let's bring it back up a bit more. Hopefully that comes out a bit clearer now. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to tonight's live stream. Tonight we are doing question time. It's a chance for you to ask any question you like about Unreal Engine or game dev or anything you really want to ask at all. All you got to do is put your questions in the chat and we'll try and grab as many questions as we can whilst we are live. So, I am just waiting for Unreal to load up. My computer's been a bit slow today, I don't know why. So I'm going to try and answer as many questions as I can that don't involve Unreal. I see a couple already coming in already, so that's good. Hopefully everyone's doing okay. Before we go into answering some questions, whilst I'm trying to get everything open here, little announcement. I can't remember if I posted it. I posted it somewhere. I can't remember where though. But a little announcement on something here. So on the website, we have now embedded in the services for ordering sessions. So now you don't have to worry about going through email and going back and forth, trying to organise a time or anything like that. You can just go straight onto here, go to book a session, and it's all automated for you. Okay, you just go into here, you book a session, wherever you want, and your bundles are down here too, and you pick the time and dates you're going to go onto as well. If you're a Diamond Patron, this is also where you click and subscribe to get your session that you get for free per month. So click on there, you'll do the same thing, book a session for free. The other little thing you'll notice on here is you've got bookings, so you can view your current bookings, amend them, change them, whatever it is you want to do. So you can manage it all there. You can also, there are improved ways to pay as well. So now you can do like things like Klarna, for example. So if you wanted to do, say, for example, like a mega bundle of sessions or 10 sessions, but you can't afford it all up front, you can do like the pay monthly type scheme. It all automatically handles that. So that's all there. Okay, so you've got more options to do things there too. You'll notice here there's a space here on the right for events. At some point, probably in the summer, we'll be experimenting with events. These will be like live classes almost that we'll try and do. I'm spitballing around some ideas of what they can look like and how they can differ from sort of these live streams. I'm hoping to make them more personal and limited as well. So we'll see those as they come up here. There'll be a mixture of free ones and paid for ones. Okay, be a mixture of them. But yeah, go all that. You go to services, book a session, join a class. You can also do the same thing for developmental help as well. So, for example, if you want something more robust services, like if you want me to work on your game, for example, you can book a free consult to find out what your needs actually are. You may not need a development help, you may just need sessions and vice versa. You can go straight onto that and, oh, sorry, I'm going to sneeze. And you'll get a customized, personalized invoice type thing. Again, payment methods all through the website. You can go through the exact same tools, use Klarna type things, whatever it is needed to do. So yeah, feel free to check this out. Again, if you want to book a free consult, you can do 15-minute consult to find out exactly what help you need. Yeah, so do check it out. It really does help out a lot. Thank you. But enough of that. Yeah, Unreal's loading. Finally. Okay, so we're just waiting for that to come up here. So let's answering some questions here that I can see. So Turtle Take Games, hello, first of all. Ryan, how would you go about making a simulator style game like Grocery Store Simulator? Okay, so that is less like on a technical level, more to do with the design level. You just need to be really good at breaking down exactly what it is you want to do. Also, what kind of simulator game it is going to be, because there are simulation games, and then there's like meme-like simulator games. So, for example, Power Wash Simulator is a simulator game technically, but it's a jokey one. Yeah, it's a fun one. Same with House Flipper and things like that. But if you want to do something like Farming Simulator or something like that, it comes down to just analysing the systems you need to develop. So what makes the simulation run? Okay, so ideally be an expert in that simulation field. So if you're want to do a lawnmower simulator, you must know your lawnmowers and different types and things you can do. And the rest of it is the same as any other game, really. It's just you're designing around that simulation need. It is no one trick pony to it all. It all comes down to exactly what you identify as your needs are. So first of all, identify the needs and then break down the mechanics that you need to have for the game. Pedro, are you familiar with the gameplay camera plugin? I've seen it. I've touched it for about 5 minutes. That is it. That's my extent of use of that. I keep meaning to try it out, but I had no time really. One of the fun things I've been recording today actually was to do with Unreal 5.6. The new variants like the arena shooter, for example. Well, the arena shooter is great unless you want to make a multiplayer. It doesn't work. So I've started making a couple of videos showcasing how to transform the arena shooter template into a multiplayer arena shooter template. Because what Epic done was a bit incorrect to make it work for multiplayer. So just fixing it up. So those videos will come out next week for patrons probably. Oh dear. Next question. Why does ZBrush hate you? I don't know. Did you offend it in some way? Some of these I'm going to come back to when we've got Unreal loaded up here. Like rank 10 or McDonald. Your question about how to make items like bob around and float and do that. We'll show that in a second. Interested by the mechanics of a simulator. What makes it fun? What makes a simulator fun? Numbers, things popping off. What makes that activity fun in real life? Yeah. And then go from there. Dioli Mills. Hey Ryan, I made a level builder game where I play and build out levels, but now I'd like to export the levels instead of having to pause the game and copy and paste. Is there a better way? No. So whenever you're building a level, normally you export it out as like a JSON. So you build a JSON file with your save data, export that out, and then you can rebuild it back in. And that's essentially what you're doing when you build custom levels and games, is that you're preparing a really complex save file essentially, and that you send over the save file, and then the client who receives that, or you receive it later, or load up later, will rebuild it. It's not like saving a map file. It's like basically a different save file essentially. It just stores the transformations of everything that's in there. Daily developer, what software programs do you use for your live streaming? I use Streamlabs desktop, and that is it. Streamlabs is pretty all round good. I use Spotify for the music, but that's it really. Stephen Kent, hey man, what's your least favorite game genre? I wouldn't say I have a least favorite. One I play the least is probably sport games. I'm not a big sport person, so I don't. The fascination of it doesn't come into me. But when I play them, I enjoy them as I play them. So yeah, probably that. Why is it sports games? Yeah, you got it right. Yeah, Kaisuke DX. With gameplay effects with the gas system. So I haven't got the gas system installed and like the source file for it set up, but you basically need to hang on. Just do this one. What are we on? QT151. The on your character, you typically when you're using gameplay tags, a container, and a container keeps track of what's on your character or your component that's on your character. When you're removing effects, you remove the gameplay tag, and then you want that to trigger other things to enable and disable the effects. It's hard to showcase that without the gas setup done. I haven't got it set up. So yeah, I'll look into trying to put something together for that. But for the most part, you're managing gameplay tags in and out. Dusky Fox question: Aluminum glass, transparent material. What are the best practices for 5.6? I don't know yet. Simple. Sorry, not the best answer, but I don't know yet. I mean, I really played around with it or measured it against things. So time to experiment, I guess, to figure it out. Oh, Unreal taking ages to load up. Have you ever tried making a card game in Unreal? I've done it with Unity, but never tried it with Unreal because Unity just works so well with 2D. I have actually. Yeah. Only a brief demo. It was going to be a series at one point, but I never got around to actually ever doing it. Maybe I'll come back to it at some point. But yeah, it works the same as a sort of 2D sort of scene. It's just in a 3D world. It's just projected onto a character. But yeah, we made it so like it drew a hand of cards, and they came out animated. They weren't widgets; they were actual assets in the world that came out and done things. So yeah, and yeah, made it interact with stuff, but very basic level. We didn't do anything further than that. But maybe I'll go back to it. I do like a good card game. Unreal. What are we at now? 72%. Yeah, no. Trying to see if there's any questions I can answer without Unreal. Hi, Daryl. Can you show from Fruit Fun Fitness? Can you show how you would make engine modifications and compile the engine? I can kind of, because I have several versions of the engine on my computer. So, for example, Mimic is I just upgraded Mimic to Unreal 5.3. So, in Unreal 5.3 that's the engine from GitHub I've got here. Okay, so if you make any changes in any of the part of the code inside the Visual Studio solution, you just need to recompile it and build it again. So I won't load it now because it's loading everything up. But in Visual Studio or whatever you're using, you rebuild it by clicking build on the solution, and it will rebuild the engine for you. And if you make modifications to the engine, and then when you load it back up, you can then play around with the actual project itself. Because so you have the engine files like here, and then you have your project files, which would be here for me in this case. And the project files are for your game specifically, and that's where you put your plugins that are specific to your game, things like that. That will happen in here. So if you make any custom code for your game that's not for the engine, you'd have to recompile here, but you can do live coding with that. I don't think you can do live coding with engine changes. I think you have to recompile it each time. But yeah, that's basically it. So I won't load it up because it will try and load up everything else. But yeah, that's essentially what you do. Okay. Have you ever had burnout on game dev at all? If so, how did you handle it? Yes, several times. I have had burnout. Last year I had it was pretty bad. It wasn't just from game dev; it was from everything, like YouTube, everything, and basically just reevaluating what was important to me at the time would help, because we had a lot of personal things going on too. So reevaluating the personal things and getting that in there. And then find another. When it's a burnout, it's usually a burnout because things are going wrong. Okay, and sometimes that thing going wrong can be subsided by just giving some time, some space for it to sit, think about it, and try again. That usually works quite well. And then if you share your game and show it off to people, people's excitement for your project and what you're doing will help inspire you to keep on going. Yeah. So get in some Discord groups, WhatsApp groups, and just share what you're making. Talk about what you're making. It can be private conversations, but do share what you're talking about and what you're making about. As other people's excitement for your project will rub off on you and make you excited again to work on it. So yeah. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go back to a couple of questions where people asked. There was one by Rank 10 on McDonald. So how to do dropped items, do the hovering, floating mechanic type thing. Okay, so the couple of things you can do. One is you could actually animate the thing to do the hovering thing. That could be a waste of resources. You could probably have a better time just material animating it. So, for example, let's make a quick blueprint class in here. We'll call it item pickup. And we'll chuck in an item asset. Stack mesh. And cone. There you go. And I'll scale it down a bit too. Give it a jaunty angle. Okay, something like that. So I'm going to do it via material. Item hover. Because essentially all you're doing is you're changing the rendering position of each pixel. So if you can get that, you can modify it. So we're going to be using world position offset here to handle that. So let's take this for example. I'm going to take the time into a sine wave. Okay, and then I'm going to multiply that by the vector I want to use to make it go up and down. So let's put in the 3 vector. And I'm going to do it up and down in Z here. So do 50. Chuck it to world position offset. Okay. And there's our bouncing ball. Okay. And if I want to speed it up and slow it down, I just change the time going into sine by multiplying that by, I don't know, 0.5. And make it slower. Okay. Something like that. So that's the first one. But obviously, if you wanted it to spin around, that won't work, obviously, on its own. So another thing we can do with world position offset is make it spin. And for that, we're going to use a rotator. And we're going to use a rotate. I always forget which one is the best one. Rotate about axis. I think it's this one. So normalized rotation axis is going to be in the Z. So I'm going to normalize it 1. Normalize means a length of 1. So 1 there. Rotation angle, that's going to change over time. So we'll put another time node in there. The pivot point is going to be the object's position. Object position world space in pivot position. Pivot point. And then the position is, I forget what position is used for. Rotation angle, position. Hold on, let me just plug it in there. I think it's just. It might be just that. Time, rotation angle. I've probably done this wrong. maybe pivot point was the 0 position. Oh, I've forgotten how this node works. I can't remember what position does. Active position world space. Maybe that's the one for that. And then position here. I've got a video on it. I can't remember what, about that years ago. I can't remember what the bloody hell thing is. Pivot point is the local point. Oh, yeah. And then position is the active position there. No? Pivot point should be 0, 0, 0, which is the object center. Active position is the position of it in the world. Object position shouldn't make a difference. No. Oh, wait, no. World position. There you go. Okay, right. Yeah, so world position. As you can see, messes with Lumen a lot. But we can slide it down as well. So time will times by 0.1. Slight way down. And then you can combine the two together. So we're going to add on to that. Okay. So if I apply that to my item pickup. Okay. Oh, it's rotating around. Ah, okay. That's why I got it wrong. See, it's going around the center point of the whole level. We don't want that. Hold up. Pivot point is going to be the active position. That's what we want. Active position, world space. There. There we go. That's right. Okay. So now it spins and rotates and up like that. And all it's doing is changing the rendering of the pixels. The actual object isn't moving at all. So it's a lot cheaper way of doing things like that. And then the collision would just be you just put a sphere collision around it. And you can slide down, speed it up in whatever way you want. So this time here is controlling the speed of it going up and down. So make it slower. Okay, 0.1 there. Yeah, maybe 0.25 maybe. I can change the height of it with this one here. And then I can change the speed of its rotation via this one here. Yeah, and that's it really. Okay. Although one thing I've never tried, I'm gonna just test it out, is if you add it as a material layer, what does it do then? That's curious. So if you don't know, you can add layers of materials on them. So if I go here, overlay material, and choose this item hover overlay material. So the overlay does its thing, but not the original one. Yeah. That's interesting. I wonder if there'll be a way to hide the one that it sees it's on. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so that's one way of doing it. The other way is you actually animate it to go up and down. For fully transparent mask. You. I don't know. It will just overlay on top of it. It doesn't actually do that. Like if I change this to translucent, the material itself. You see, it'll still have the same problem because it overlays. It doesn't replace it at all, which is not what you want. So there must be a way of doing it. I just don't know what it is yet. I have to have a look. But one thing you could do is make a master material for all your objects in the game, and that you just build out. So if you're going to make a master material, blah blah blah, you'd have this output as a material attribute, and then you can put it in to other ones if you want. But you put I don't know why I made it again. You just put the code in here, and you can make this output as a attribute. Okay, so material attribute. No. First of all, use material attributes. Make. There we go. And we'll put that into there. And then you could use this in other nodes. You could probably make this even a function, material function. Don't know. You could probably make it a material function as well if you wanted to. I don't know. I have to experiment with it a bit more, but yeah, you could do that, I guess. Anywho, let's move on to another question. Scroll back up again for a second. What is the difference from this by Michael Stetler? What's the difference between a map and an array? So the main difference between a map and an array is a ordered list. Okay, so very ordered. It has position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. A map is unordered. So it makes it more efficient for a map to be stored in memory, because an array needs to block out a chunk of memory all like to its correct size, whereas a map doesn't have to do that. What a map has to do though is has to keep track of key values and pairs, and that means you can't have duplicate keys, so that becomes problematic. So if you want to do relationship stuff as well as make it unordered, maps really great for that. Arrays are better for ordered lists, so if things have to be in a particular order, in a particular way, you need an array for that. So if I don't get your question, I'm just scrolling through and trying to grab a few. James Blackamore, what should I do to avoid getting into trouble if we're using marketplace assets starter content? I've got credit section in my game, but I'm paranoid someone will come along and try to sue me. It is so when you go on Fab, you want to ensure when you purchase something, so let's just pick one, like this one for example, that you've got the correct license first of all. So professional license usually costs a little bit more, but professional license gives you the license details, which are there. If you want to click on that, it'll tell you exactly what you need to do and what you can do. Okay, so you can use the assets commercially or privately, but and some blah 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 blah. But you cannot resell or redistribute the assets. Okay, but yeah, and you can create comments by attribute. Can't say the word. Attribution license means basically as long as you credit it, you're fine. Okay. But yeah, just read through the terms and conditions. You know, this stuff. But it should be fine. Should I upgrade my version from 5.4 to 5.6 for optimization reasons? You can. I would just make sure you got a backup of it. I think pretty sure it will make a duplicate anyway. Make a backup of your project, test it out, try it out. If it feels better, stick with it. If it doesn't, don't. You know, try it out. How do you turn on nanite skeletal meshes on? You cannot do nanite on skeletal meshes, as of yet, as far as I'm aware. But they're improving it every day. So they've just added the foliage nanite, which is a game changer, as you weren't used to be able to do that. So that's handy. But it will happen in time probably. But as far as I'm aware, I don't know. How would I make an enemy break into pieces when killed or destroyed, as if they were a toy or an action figure? All limbs pop off when destroyed, like they're made of Legos or something. Probably the best thing to do if you're building like a toy, like character, is to have the pieces of the model be your separate meshes, and then you bring them all together in a master pose component. And then when you want to, you can just apply physics to them, and they'll just drop and fall off. I can't really show that in here because I don't have it, but you could totally do that, and yeah, and then also apply a force to it if you want to make it pop and go flying. But yeah, it would have to be separate meshes. You can't just say chop off the arm and make it fall. You do have to swap it out. Now that skeletal mesh is a feature of 5.5. Maybe you have to turn on the plugins then. Skeletal mesh. I don't know. Check this guy out. Let's view it in nanite. I assume they've done it for their main character then. So I was under the impression that it wasn't in there. Yeah, so it's not using nanite, the character, their one. Oh, there you go. Nanite support. Yeah, so going to mesh down here, nanite support. Did not know that. Added it there. How good it works, I have no idea. But yeah, enable nanite support. When you click the button for nanite support on any mesh, skeletal or static, do make sure you hit the apply changes button here. So let's try it. Let's see what it looks like. There you go. Okay. Let's see it animate. Ew. Okay, yeah, that works. Yeah, fine. When will the new survival series be available? Will it be available to everyone or only Patreon members? So I put a post up on Patreon about how it will work, but basically, I'm still aiming for the end of the month. It may be a little delayed, maybe, but it depends on how many episodes it ends up being. But yeah, what will happen is the whole series will be made available to gold and diamond, platinum and diamond members on Patreon. Gold and silver will get whole modules at a time. So there's 7 modules for this one, and the modules like a collection based upon like a single area, like maybe like a building or whatever. So gold and silver will get those ones at a time. So they'll get a module like per month maybe or per week. I don't know yet. And then ones will get them 4 weeks ahead, so they'll get 4 episodes before the first one's released on YouTube. That's the current plan. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. And obviously, gold and higher get project files for the completed one and the incomplete one too, so they can build along. Thank you for the nice words, everyone. It's very nice to hear. Thank you. So, how do you do profiling to identify performance issues? Honestly, the best thing to do is use Unreal Insights. If you don't know what Unreal Insights is, if you go into the documentation, it tells you exactly how to turn it on and how to use it. Yep. So it does a trace. I won't do it because it eats up a shite ton of memory. But when you do, you'll get Unreal Insights. You can load up Unreal Insight files, trace files, and you can then go back and view them per frame what the cost is. And if you're going for 60 frames per second, you want to get your millisecond count below 15, I think it is, 16. That's your target. And so you look at what's costing the most and you try and cut it some way. But yeah, Unreal Insights is the tool you want to use. So just go on the documentation, follow it, and learn how to do tracing. And when you launch the game, so you package it and you launch it with a trace command, and when you've done that, it will store a trace value. So I don't know if I still have my Mimic ones in here. Did them a while ago. Where would it be? No, it wouldn't be there. That'd be. I don't think that will be in here. This shit gets overwritten all the time. Profiling. There you go. Oh, no, there you go. There's profiling. So I can load this up in Unreal Insights. This is quite old, this one, so bear with me. I'll just do it on the other screen for a second because it might be sensitive stuff. Or not. There we go. So Unreal Insights is installed in the engine section of your install. If I remember rightly. I can't remember now. Hold on. No, where is it stored? Let's go back to here. Where the hell is it stored? I maybe have to do it inside the engine. Oh, I can't bother to load up the project. I think you have to do it from inside the engine, but yeah, no. Okay, but basically that's what it is. Just go through here and you get this sort of screen come up, and it tells you like per frame, so you can see each frame broken down, and you'll get a breakdown of like the allocation of memory and execution times for stuff, and you'll see like the per frame count. If you zoom in, you scroll to zoom in, and you can see every frame broken down, and you can then see what each object's costing you. But beware, these files do get pretty large. That ain't a large one, but I must have not have the large ones because they do get pretty large. They get like gigabytes in size. It stores a ton of information. Ba, 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 ba. Yep, it's Daryl. Are you planning to finish your AI NPC series? You talking about the state tree one or the non-state tree one? Those ones will get like more. I think it's gonna. We started to break them out into individual separate series based upon what type of AI you want to make. So people who want to make AI for, I don't know, like a shooter AI, they don't have to watch the whole series just to grasp that. So the series will act as like a primer, like to learn the basics of it, and then you can use, and then we'll make separate series and separate videos for different types of AI scenarios. Because not all AI needs to be complex. Not all AI needs to use smart objects. Not all AI needs to use EQS. So it depends on like the use. We'll play about with that. You're welcome, Tail Tank. Yeah, I'll look into the card game stuff. The card game, it was pretty cool to work on the card game thing. I even made like I went through and made like a foil type thing, so holographic cards, so you can add a bit of depth to it and fake 3D. That's kind of cool. So there's something we'll look into, yeah. Josh Works. How would you make a melee sword trace so you can avoid gaps and inconsistencies in the traces? I believe it's called a sweep trace that I'm referring to. It is called a sweep trace. Whether we have time to... I haven't got any animations to do it on either. Or the time to show. Okay. I'll have to describe to you in theory how this works. So, what would be the way to do this? Hang on. Paint. Here we go. Because I don't have animation to show it on, or the time to set it all up. But imagine this is your sword, okay, and it's going to swoop across the screen in this direction, okay. The tracing works as such. You need to take. You have two sockets. You have one at the start of the trace, start of the sword, and one at the end of the sword. The trace works in a way where you are taking the point of the socket you want to measure and you draw it to the delta position of the other socket. So basically the socket location where it was in the last frame. So the first frame it would be like this because it hasn't moved much. But then you do it again but for the other socket and that goes back this way. And you'll start seeing this little pattern start emerging which does this, this and this and this. But yeah, you're getting a delta location of something. So you store it as a value somewhere. And as it's sweeping across, you are basically alternating which direction you are doing a line trace on. And you get this sort of like moment going around. And that's it really. It's just that. It just takes a bit of time to set up and get it right. You need animation, you need the sockets. And usually you're doing it on like a notifier state. The problem in notifier states you'll come to is that within the notifier state itself, if I show that in here, so with notifier state in here, you will have like notifier begin, notifier end to start off, but notifier tick is what's important here because you need delta time. You want to get store the location of things, but the problem is you can't store variables on here. So for example, I can't just do get socket location and then promote to a variable like that. And hand R for example, you can get an error. Okay, and the error is because you can only do read-only tasks. Okay, because this thing is not instantiated, it's just ran and then forgotten about. So it doesn't have anywhere to store these values in. So you can't set variables. You can use the variables, but you can't set the variables, which is really annoying. So you have to think of another location to put it, or another way to store it, or another way to track it. Yeah. Yeah, and you're doing that. You get the location, store it, and you compare the line trace from this location to the location of the socket that you had stored previously. So other socket location, blah blah blah. You get that from somewhere, chuck it onto the end. Yeah, it will involve a whole video. I need to do a whole video on it. But yeah, that's essentially the theory behind it. Is you are storing a location of the previous sockets where it was in the previous frame, drawing a line trace like that to like that, and as it animates, it do a zigzag across the screen to do the sweep. Actually, yeah. Oh, the mass AI one. Yeah, we stopped that because state trees were kind of shite back then. They've improved a lot since then, so I need to try it out with the new state tree setup. So TBD, I need to experiment with that because the state trees were a bit weak. I found prior to 5.5. So yeah. Furious Warg. Hi Ryan, I have a ribbon in Niagara which is attached to a sword, but the material gets stretched when it moves quickly. Stretched. I don't think what you mean by stretched. Because the ribbon is like yeah, what do you mean by stretch? What are you trying to do? You can see it's stretching this. So the smoothness of a ribbon is determined by the count of the particles coming out. So let's just do minimal one like that. Add a ribbon renderer. There we go. And we'll give it a spawn rate of 100. And we'll take it to add velocity, fix that issue, random. Actually, no, we'll do the vector velocity there. We'll just change that to like 500 or something. I'll take that down actually to 10. And sprite render I'll turn off. We get this line coming up here. A ribbon. We'll change the width here. Direct set to 20. Okay, so you get this jumping nature, and that's only because we've set it to 10. If we set it to 100, we get a much smoother nature of the particle. So if it's going faster, you want to increase the spawn rate of this one. So if you want to make the spawn rate dependent on the speed of it, you can make it variable if you want. But just increase the spawn rate. And that's the other thing of what you mean by stretchy. I'm not entirely certain what you mean by stretchy. Yeah, if you got any more info, Furious, that'd be handy. So I wouldn't recommend using state trees in a final game. They're okay for the final game now. The tiling. I mean, it depends. The engine grid material on it. Oh, right. Okay. You're doing a pattern thing. Yeah. Okay. So it's stretching the material out however you want. It's gonna be hard to see, isn't it? There we go. Yeah. So UV mode, non-uniform scale by total length. I did tiled by segment length. Why is that not really showing anything? I'll change to something else. So I think something that's going to be obviously tiled. Yeah, there you go. So you just change the UV mode to segments like that. Because by default, it would be like this and it would look stretched. It stretches it over the whole length of it by default. So just change that to tiled by segment length. And obviously make it tileable. And yeah. Ben, guessing you should only be using 2 sockets. I mean, you can use more, but it's more commonly done with 2 sockets. It's just simpler. It depends on like the weapon shape, because it's a sword usually is straight, so you only care about that. But you do you. Don't really matter. How goes the playtesting going, Ryan? Slight hitch. I was doing it before we came on stream tonight. Is that I think we've solved the issue with the stutter. That was a big thing. I think that's fixed. Double check that hopefully tomorrow. But the other big thing is I transitioned the project from Unreal 5.1 to 5.3. And so I was in the middle of compiling the engine again for 5.3. Just to see if we can get more interesting visual performance out of it, because obviously there were a lot of enhancements in optimizations there. So I really want to experiment and try over that and see what that comes out like. But hopefully we fixed the movement bug of it stuttering. I think the issue, thank you to Iron Thumbs, I think was to do, we had the mesh replication turned on for some reason. I don't know if I turned it on for a reason. I guess we'll find out. But turned it off will help. But yeah. Thank you, Corey. I'm glad it helps. Do you know why every UE5 game forces TAA? Nope. You don't force it. You can change it. I guess it's just it'd be theoretically more optimal to use TAA. Yeah. Temporal anti-aliasing, for those who don't know what it stands for. The technology behind it, basically, what it does, as far as I'm aware, what it does, is it handles anti-aliasing, which is basically how does it smooth the edges of the models around and the whole entire thing. When it's temporal, meaning time, it will look at the previous frame and sort of blur between the two to get the edges, like smoother edges to it. That's my understanding of what it's doing. I don't know. I don't know why they use it. But you can turn it off and on freely to change what thing you want to have. It's usually... Oh, hold on. Where is it now in here? Nope. Oh, crap. Where was it? Nope, no. But yeah, you can make it easily change it. Can you ask something, Eduardo? Yes, you can ask something. We're about to run out of time, so get in there quick. I've got to move on to recompiling my project again. By the way, I'll put in the variant for the platform. I haven't done the platform one yet, so let's check it out. Yeah, it's fine. So we've got double jump. Nice little ribbons on our feet. Oh, hello. What's that? Oh, we got like a wall jump type thing. Ooh, that's fun. Ooh. What's this to do? I haven't done this one before, so I don't know what they've done. Oh, shift is a dash. You think that's a button? Don't know. It must be a button, because how would it get over there otherwise? I don't know how you interact with it though. Oh, no. Oh no, don't have to use it at all. Alright. Why is that like that though? That's confusing. We've got a little wall jump exercise. Yeah, not bad. Basic. Yeah, so if you didn't hear me at the start, basically I went I filmed a couple of videos today going through the arena shooter template they provided. The problem with the arena shooter template is you can't make it an arena shooter because it doesn't support multiplayer. If you ever tried multiplayer on it, you'll see how broken it is. So I've made a couple of videos explaining how to fix it to make it work for multiplayer. There's a few things Epic have done which aren't clever or won't work. That work okay, but not when you want to make it multiplayer ready. So I've done a couple of videos explaining how to fix it for them. So they'll be out for patrons next week, along with a few others. So yeah, if you want to use their template for the shooter as a starting point for a multiplayer arena shooter, help is coming with that one. Okay, let's see. The spawn a fireball in the socket and on overlap event where it destroys itself and creates an Niagara effect. In multiplayer, it looks like my fireball is spawning but immediately getting destroyed, so the client doesn't see the fireball or the effects. Probably due to lag between the server and the client. So the overlap event, you need to make sure that is only happening on the server side first of all. To do a switch as authority. Secondly, you will make sure the overlap event, the overlap collision for it doesn't affect the owner of the fireball. So you should ignore owner when moving. Oh, what it's called? Ignore owner. Ignore actor when moving. Is the node. And to ignore it, or just change the collision settings to ignore you. That'll be the main things. Yeah, that'd be the main things. I'll start there if I were you. It's hard to know without getting hands on to see it, but that's where I would start looking at is making sure it only does collision calculations on the server side, and check the collision settings so it doesn't collide with itself or the owner who's shooting it. Yeah, that's right, Eduardo. If it's down, I think often people blame the engines too much instead of some of the developers. Some developers don't know how to use the features properly, which results in a buggy mess. True. Yeah, that is true. The thing with engines, if you also understand, is like modern day engines are really flexible. Like they didn't never used to be like this. They used to be very rigid in like what you can make with them. Now they're so flexible. They try and do everything, so you can make every type of game with them. So there is going to be areas of bloat. There's going to be areas of features you don't need to use, settings you don't need to use, and that's even true more so with Unreal because obviously it's supporting like film and TV, animation, things like that, and a lot of that stuff you don't need either. So it comes down to understanding what you need and what you don't need, what cuts you can make, what you don't need to make, and there's also the thing with especially with Unreal because it can look very pretty very quickly. People just throw everything at it and don't think about tweaking some of the settings down and not realizing like, hey, I don't need to have lumen on. I don't need to have all this nanite stuff on. I can do without it. Yeah, do without it. You cut a lot of wastage out of it. So yeah, design for what you need. Essentially. Would you do a how to optimize Unreal video in the future? I can do. There's a couple of really good ones already out there by Unreal themselves, but I can do. I've done a few videos actually on how to optimize, I remember rightly, in a few different areas. So like how to optimize collisions, how to optimize textures, code. Yeah, I've done a few videos on, but there are others out there you can do. I will try and do one about Unreal Insights. I just have to maybe when I do another test with Mimic and its Unreal Insights, I can showcase how that actually looks and works and things. But yeah. Anywho, we're gonna have to end it there because it is getting very late over here in the UK. So I would say massive thank you to everyone over Patreon who are supporting the channel. Remember, if you want to book a session with private training or help with your projects or anything like that, head over to the website ryanlady.com and you'll see services. You can book sessions and pay for sessions right here in the web browser now. No longer have to do back and forward emails and things like that. And if you've got Diamond Patreon, you can book your monthly session through here too. Okay, so if you want to support some Patreon, you can do. If you're Gold member, you can log in through Gold here and get access to all the project files as well. That's all on here too. So do consider supporting us over on Patreon. And if you want a session or a services or whatever to help with, you can book through here too. There's loads of different options to pay as well. Things like Klarna that can help you out if you are struggling to make payments or whatever. You can do that to pay monthly. Yeah, it'll give you just more options, basically. Anywho, we must go. Take care, everyone. Have a great evening, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.